Hello, my name is Nick Marenko, and this is my TLK presentation about natural sciences. My knowledge issue is, to what extent do ethics and morality affect scientific research and progress? This has been a very major issue lately, due to the fact that science grows a lot in the 20th and the 21st century. Ethics has kind of been an issue in the scientific world, and it is not a secret, it is not a new thing that ethics were the cause behind multiple scientific projects either having tough limitations and barriers, or scientific projects being simply shut down just because of ethics/moralities. Okay, so first of all, I have a personal connection to this topic. The issue of ethics and scientific research has interfered with my education once. Back in Ukrainian school, when I was in 7th grade, I had super starter biology, and we had a field trip to an institute that is related to the school I was going to. And the field trip had a lot of importance to it because we had kind of a small exam on it where we had to look at a dissected frog and basically just identify basic organs, locations of bones, etc. And that was the first time I found out that my grandfather has a very strong position towards animal testing and using animals for scientific purposes. And he was furious when he found out about it. He had a very long conversation with my parents about simply me not going to biology to the field trip just because of his position towards it. And basically I ended up not going to the field trip because, well, the reasons don't really matter, but I did not go to the field trip, and it resulted in me getting a fairly low grade in biology, and I only got 7 out of 12 for the first semester of my biology class, which in in our QSI terms, it's either a B minus or an IB grade. That's basically like between a 3 and a 4, so actually kind of bad. So even though I got a bad grade as a result of this, I was kind of small and sort of vulnerable to these new ideas that we have to protect animals and they should not be involved in scientific testing. However, well, even though I still believe that animal testing is not completely a perfect thing, not perfectly moral, because I know that animals live in bad conditions, they get hurt. However, I do believe that if it is done in the right purpose, then it is acceptable. And I think that animal testing is correct. Now, my current position on this argument is that animal testing is okay, because if there would be no animal testing, there would be multiple projects that could save millions of lives. It may sound absurd, but for example, in one lab where animal testing was allowed, they found a vaccine that cures cancer. And in a world where there would be no animal testing, you would not be able to find this cure for cancer, for example. And even right now, very many diseases have been found through animal testing. And another debate that is currently going on relating to science and ethics is the use of embryonic stem cells. Now, as to a little background, embryonic stem cells, if they're grown in proper laboratory conditions, in proper environments, they can be grown into any type of tissue, like your skin, your bones, even your heart tissue, even your muscle tissue. So basically kind of like regeneration. And this is obviously a good opportunity to treat a very wide range of diseases that we have in the world today. Now, the argument is that whether the embryo has the same rights as a human being does, that it is going to become later, and that it does have the rights to become, it has the same rights as the human being, so it should not be killed off for any kind of purpose. So, as we can see, the effect of ethics here on the science is pretty clear. But however, my personal standpoint is that I disagree with this because I believe that an embryo is not a human yet. So if it may make a difference between a person's life and death, then the embryo stem cell research should be, the embryo stem cells should be used to save a person's life. Now, this example is a bit more different as it is relatively old, and it is from the Second World War, and it is about Nazi experimentation on human beings. Now, a little background to that as well. A huge part of the Holocaust during World War II was including experiments on humans, particularly Romani people, Jews, disabled people, and these experiments were done to create, to basically improve the German military and kind of to create a superhuman who can withstand any conditions and just a superhuman being. However, the research, the experiments, they ended up hurting people, very often either crippling or hurting or killing people. Some examples, specific examples from the experiments were sewing two twins together to create a Siamese twin, like conjoined twin, transplanting nerves or muscle tissue from one person to another person without the use of anesthesia, or, for example, experiments with freezing people just to learn how to fight with hypothermia, and this also very often ended up killing people, just like anything else, just like any other experiment. So, anyways, these examples are clearly horrific, terrible experiments, and as we can see, there was no ethics or morality considered in them. So we could see clearly that here, the lack of ethics and morality was actually very bad. It was incorrect. Now, to a more general topic, back to my knowledge question, how could the issue of science and ethics be approached from a different perspective? So, as so far we can see, we could do the way the Nazis did it. We could simply disregard ethics and morals, which is not correct, which is not an ideal situation. We could take a rather utilitarian approach and say that it is morally and ethically appropriate to apply animal testing if it has a good purpose and if it results in saving millions of lives every day for the next years, for the next hundreds of years. And this is kind of my standpoint in this whole argument. Or we could even take another position and we could think of ourselves, if we wanna be generous enough to put ourselves into bad living conditions, go through injections that we allow people to inject unknown substances into ourselves, and just for a chance that you might save a person's life. So there are certainly many different approaches that this issue could be seen through. However, in conclusion, ethics certainly play a major role in scientific progress and research, and in certain ways you could even say that ethics impede the scientific progress. However, it is also important to note that a complete lack of ethics and morals, that there should never be a complete lack of ethics and morals behind a scientist's reasoning.